I saw you over there snacking.
Sorry, late dinner.
No, you fine. I'm just messing with you.
How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm well.
Good, good, good. Dr. N, what's happening? Good to see you.
Thanks, you
BG
too.
Howard.
Yes, sir.
Jeff Middleton. I ain't seen you in forever, brother. How you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Oh,
Good,
good,
good.
man.
I
Good,
know I don't
good.
see you, but it's good
I
to
don't see you,
see
but
you
it's good
here.
to
See your
see
name
you
here.
here. See your name here.
Yeah, we're floating down the road, so we're kind of listening until we get to a stop.
All right, you got it, brother.
All
Thanks
right,
a
you
lot.
got.
All right, guys, we're gonna give it about 30 seconds and we're gonna get started here. So I hope everybody is doing well.
Can't complain. Well, I could complain, but you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but I say, you know, it's not gonna do you no good. BG Howard.
No.
Nobody's gonna listen.
Just talking points. They're just talking points.
That's right.
I would turn on my camera, but I have a haircut tomorrow morning, so I'm not presentable.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm gonna hide the cameras anyway, so people won't see them. Because sometimes it can be a distraction for people. So I'll be hiding them. So even if it was on, nobody wouldn't see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't get to gaze upon Dr. Nala's beautiful face.
Nope. Not
Oh,
for long.
shut it down. It's his fault, doctor.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get rolling here, and I'm gonna obviously be pulling my screen up and down as we go through this because some I'm just gonna talk and some of it I'm going to actually be showing some things here. So let me go ahead and get everybody's cameras hidden real quick. Hide these cameras. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pull the PowerPoint up and I'll start there. I'll go ahead and share my screen and then I'll drop it. It is gonna be I think two exercises I'm gonna do if I have the time to do both. I know I'm gonna do one exercise and give you guys a chance to do some things on paper, but the other exercise, depending on how much time we have, I may or may not get to them. So get to that one, I should say, but I'm definitely gonna do one exercise because it's gonna help as you're looking for what it is that you want to have a training course on. So we're going to go into those particular areas as well. So let me share my screen, get started, and I'll get some people let in as we're doing all of that. All right, so you should be seeing my screen right now. And what we're doing today is ideas to income. It's been a lot going on with course creation. So we're going to get into how to develop a course correctly so that it can be sold online and you can actually make a profit. There's a lot of people creating courses that aren't selling. They're creating not only because they don't know how to create a course, but because you may be creating a course that nobody wants. Nobody's looking for that information right now. You may be creating a course that's Googleable, right? As opposed to transformational. So all of those are items that we're going to talk about here so that people will understand. I do have a program where I help people create courses. It is a 10-week program. I'll be talking about that here when we close out. But of course, this is a complimentary training for 90 minutes. And maybe you can just get some tips out of here on how to move forward on creating that training or that course that you're going to have. And I would definitely suggest more of a online course that is semi-evergreen. And if you don't know what semi-evergreen is, I will be having that conversation with you within this slide deck as well. Because the idea here is to have a formula for freedom, right? And I've done 11 different businesses in my life. And there aren't a lot of businesses that offer passive income or intellectual property where you can actually create it and then sell it over and over and over and over again. And in a course creation business, you can. When you create it, it's your course. You can sell it as much as you would like to sell it, but it's all about knowing who your target market is, knowing that you have niched yourself down to a particular topic where, yes, there is some competition there. You have to have competition, know that there is some demand, but you want to make sure that you are following more of the blue ocean strategy than red ocean strategy. And if you don't know the difference between those two, of course, that'll be covered here as well. And I'm going to also suggest that you get the blue ocean strategy marketing book, which I will bring up on the slide deck. I'm not affiliated with the authors of that book, so I don't make anything on it, but I think you should definitely have it because the blue ocean strategy will really help when you're talking about marketing something where it's, as long as a person speaks English or whatever language you may be doing it in, they can actually understand it. And sometimes when we're marketing things locally, right? So I have a local business running, and in my local business, I may say, well, I'm only selling to people in this zip code, in this city. It's a completely different marketing strategy than when you're selling online, and anybody that speaks the language that you're doing that particular training in or have that particular product or service in can all buy that product. You want to look at a better marketing strategy. So we will be covering that here as well. We will attempt to get you all to get some kind of transformational statement created as well, so that you can use that transformational statement when it comes to, hey, this is my unique proposition. This is what I add as value to you as a customer, because people don't buy information, right? So that's what I mean by Googleable versus transition. People want to buy a transition, right? They want to transform. They're buying a result from you. And if your course does not give them a result, then you're going to find yourself in a place where people aren't going to want it, or they're going to ask for a refund, which is really going to be somewhat of a chargeback, or, whatever you want to call it in whatever industry. In the retail industry, it's a chargeback. And depending on what kind of products you sell, whether it's insurance or things of that nature, it can be called a chargeback, but you want your sale to be final. And in order to have it final, it needs to have value, right? And you can charge what you want to charge for it, as long as the value on the other side, the transformation on the other side, makes sense to that client. So, of course, I'm the lead instructor of this training, Coach Dunbar. Most of you all on here know me already. Anybody that joins that I do not know, you'll see a quick slide on what it is I do, what my company does. And I've been creating trainings for now, I think going on 15 years, I've been creating trainings, and I've learned along the way, which is part of my story. So my first question is, should you even be here, right? Let's get you qualified, because you may have saw my email, because I send some edgy emails out sometimes. So people will click on the email and think they're supposed to be here and realize when they get here, oh, this is not really what I was looking for. So I want to make sure that you are the person that should be in this particular training. So you have to ask yourself a few questions, right? Do you have expertise that you are passionate about sharing? Right? That means that when someone asks you a question about this particular information or this particular subject matter industry, you don't stop talking. That means that you would talk about this on stage. You would talk about this in a classroom. You would give this information out to people constantly without being paid to do it. Now, I know you want the money, right? That's why you're here, right? That's why I'm doing this particular class, this training, this webinar, is because you want to get paid for it, but you have to have an expertise that you're passionate about. So when we start talking about internal validation, because that's one of the 4 steps, it is very important that you understand what it is you want to train on. And if that sounds like an odd comment, an odd statement to hear, I get phone calls all the time. I get emails all the time. I do appointments with people. I do Zooms, and they want to train on a topic that they have no knowledge in, which doesn't work well, because they're saying, hey, I want to train on AI because that's a hot topic right now. Well, the problem with it being a hot topic is you particularly don't know how to train on it. So if you don't know how to train on it, then it being a hot topic doesn't really matter, because you don't know how to talk about it. And talking about it is not just knowledge sometimes when we talk about transformational, and you'll see as we get to the slides. What's the next question that you should ask yourself? Do you dream of creating passive income streams? Right? And I literally mean dream. I mean, are you really pushing for that? Because a lot of people say they want passive income, but they don't move in that direction at all. They don't do anything to create passive income. And some people really don't even know the difference between passive income and residual income, right? So I have residual income that comes in from two different areas. One of the areas, I actually treat the residual income like passive income because I literally don't do anything. I don't do anything. So I still get that income. I've got one residual that comes in that's about $1,900 a month, and another residual income that comes in and it's somewhere between $700 and $900 a month, right? And it comes in because of work that I've done already. That's not to include, I'm not talking about my courses. I'm not talking about selling courses and projects online. I'm talking about businesses that I were a part of that I'm no longer a part of in one situation. And then in another situation, it's affiliates. In my course online, I don't call that passive and residual income, not because it doesn't qualify, but because I do this full time. My coaching company is really what I do more than anything else. So I try to stay away from saying that it's passive and residual for me because this is my full-time gig, my TBD coaching company, right? So do you dream of creating passive income? Do you desire the freedom to work from anywhere? Anywhere. That means that you can get up and go whenever you choose. That means if you're on a cruise, that means if you're on a week-long vacation somewhere, that means if you're traveling for a month, right? Some years ago, I guess it was 5 years ago. Now my granddaughter's 5. 5 years ago, when my daughter was having her daughter, she's in New York, I'm in Florida. Her mother lives in Florida, but she lives in Tallahassee. Her mother had just started a new job, couldn't go up there. So I went to New York because my whole family is in New York. I went to New York. I went to my mother's house and I stayed at my mother's house for an entire month when my daughter was having the baby so that I would be there when she had the baby and be there afterwards for a little bit to make sure she had some support. I was able to run my business from my mother's house. I brought my equipment. At that time, I was in network marketing. I was doing my network marketing. I was also starting to really move forward on my training company. I was able to go to my mom's house, my mother's house in Buffalo, New York, and run my business in Buffalo, New York for 30 days without having to come home, without having to check in with anybody, because I can work my business from anywhere. Bring it real time, 2024. I've been with the same woman for 4 years who I met. We were long distance for some time. She moved here from Virginia 2 years ago. Now we are uprooting and going to Nashville, Tennessee. So we're moving to Nashville, Tennessee in February of 2025. The entire reason that we're moving is because it's a better job opportunity for my fiance. Me, I love Nashville. I love that I'm moving to Nashville. I could have moved to Nashville under any circumstance. So I do love where I'm going, but the object is my significant other decided that there was a better opportunity there. And when she said, hey, we need to move, we can go to Texas or we can go to Tennessee or we can go to Georgia. We decided on Nashville, Tennessee. But guess what? My business is not going to change. All I need to do is pick my office up and move my office into the new house in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'll be able to conduct myself and I won't miss a beat because I can work from anywhere because I have online courses, I do training events, and everything I do, guess where it's at? It's up here. So although I sent an email that said, quit your job, right? Shut down your business. I was just being funny. I was just being edgy. At the end of the day, do whatever it is you want to do with your time, but understand you've got to have a set of income that's coming in where you can work from anywhere. And this is the knowledge gig economy. This is the economy that you can literally sell what's up here. Understand that if you're in a retail industry, you have to rebuy, right? You have to go in and purchase more items, whatever it is you sell, to buy. If you're creating things, right? If you say, look, I sell gift baskets. I make a ton of money selling gift baskets. Not me, but somebody might make a ton of money selling gift baskets. Well, guess what? When you sell those gift baskets, you have to then go buy more material to create more gift baskets to sell them again. When you're selling what's up here, and I don't care what it is. I don't know whether you're selling something that you learned in college, whether you're selling something that you learned in a trade, whether you're selling something that you learned from experience, like parenting, right? Like being a caregiver to a loved one in your family. Whatever it is, maybe you had a son or a daughter that was in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, and you held a position there for so long that you know how to train on how to be an excellent mom for Girl Scouts or father in the Boy Scouts. Whatever it is that you do, whatever you have knowledge, whatever your expertise is, whatever your passion is, you can sell that because somebody wants to buy it, but they want to buy the transformation. They don't just want to buy the information. Does that make sense? So put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. So one of the keys of what we're going to be talking about is not just about putting a course together, but putting a course together that will transform your audience. And I'm going to show you how to put yourself in a position to be able to transform your audience. When you guys see me looking over, I've got more than one screen over here. So I've got a screen I got to make sure I'm looking at to let people in the screen that I'm operating from. So next question. Are you ready to make a real transformational impact on your clientele? That's what you have to ask yourself. Do you teach people how to cook healthy? Do you really want to change the health of your client? Do you want to put them in a situation where they're not diabetic anymore, or they're not overweight anymore, or they're not dealing with some illness that they would have had you not gotten to them and sold them your particular course, right? Are you helping women that's been through domestic violence? Are you helping, like I have a program where I help young adults 13 to 29 that are high risk? Because for me, what I believe is that no young person should be dealing with poverty and no life skills and no professional development because of the situation that their parents are in, right? It doesn't matter to me why the parents are in that situation. What matters to me is whatever situations the parents have landed themselves in shouldn't be affecting a 13-year-old child. There needs to be more programs where a 13-year-old child can get what they need up here in their head, even if their parents can't give it to them because they don't have it. So one of the programs that I do a personal and professional development class, and I do something for high risk youth 13 to 29 right here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I do that with passion, and I love doing it because it does create that real transformational impact for a client. So if you answered yes to those questions, right? If you do have an expertise, if you are looking for passive income, if you desire the freedom to work from anywhere, are you ready to create a transformational, right, a real transformational impact in your clientele, then this is where you need to be, because this is what we're going to be talking about here today, right? All right. So let me back up. All right. So some of you all here has probably created a course or two before, right? Because there's trainings all over YouTube, and I know Tony Robbins does trainings. I know Billie Jean does trainings. There's a lot of online influencers that do trainings that say, hey, we'll teach you how to create a course, right? I've got clients that take courses that teach them how to create a course, right? I've got coaches that I coach that take classes on how to create a course, right? But what you don't want to spend is countless hours, right, away from your family, away from your business, away from your job, whatever you're away from when you're doing it, only for the course to flop. And it can flop for several reasons. It could be because you have the wrong target audience. It could be because you market it to one set of people when the training could help another set of people, right? It could be simply because you are talking about something that you're passionate about, but nobody really cares about, or it's Googleable. Like I said, somebody's thinking, Jeff taught this class, but the information that he was giving out, I can get that on Google. I can go to YouTube and get that information. So why would I spend $997 on his course when I can go to YouTube and just listen to it and get the information? Now, they may not be able to have all the information that Jeff had, right? They may not have resource guides along with it. They may not give that person any individual time for 30 minutes after they've taken the course. But some people that are looking at their budget may say, man, his course is $997. YouTube is free. Does that make sense? Put a 2 in the chat. So there's several reasons why your course could flop. And what you don't want to do is spend hours, weeks, months. I mean, I know people who will spend 6 months creating a course only to hear crickets. And you don't want to hear crickets when it's all said and done. You want to make sure that if you're creating a course, you're creating it for a clientele that will buy it. And you want to pre-sell it once you have the outline done so that you can see how people are buying it, that people are interested. And then you can ask the people who have pre-bought it before it's even released some different things that they would like to see in the training, and then you can add them because the training is not done yet. Does that make sense, everybody? So the fear of your course not selling is real. I have created courses that didn't sell before. I know it's real. My clients have created courses that didn't sell before. So I know that it's real. So Googleable course topics versus transformational course topics. Important, right? So something like how to use Microsoft Excel, right? That's a Googleable course topic. If you create a topic like that, unless you're some Microsoft guru that everybody follows, you've got a huge following on social media, you're in a position where everybody knows that you are the king or queen of Microsoft, you're probably not going to make a lot of money selling a Microsoft Excel class, because Microsoft sells the classes. All of these IT specialists sell the classes. First of all, it's a huge market. And second of all, it's a Googleable topic. So people will go to YouTube and go to Google and they will find information on this themselves. They will look up the one thing that they're trying to find out, and they will do that on their own. Does that make sense? Understanding climate change. If you're thinking, hey, understanding climate change, that's an important one, right? Climate change is important. Well, it's all over the internet. So yeah, it may be important, but nobody's going to take your class. And I shouldn't say nobody, because I can't say nobody will take your class. But when it comes to blue ocean strategy versus red ocean strategy, you're going to find out real quick that using Googleable topics, which are really just information-based topics, you're going to have to sell that course for a very low amount of money, or you're going to have a big following so that when you push that out, you can sell it and make some money because people already consider you the expert in that particular area. Learn to speak Spanish in 30 days. Right? All over the place, right? Spanish for Dummies. You've got all of these companies that's been out forever training and teaching people how to speak Spanish, how to speak Korean, how to speak whatever language, right? They've got all kinds of materials out there. Some cost, some free. You know, you can translate and you can pull all kind of programs out right now that don't even cost to teach you how to learn Spanish or any other language. Right? So learn to speak Spanish in 30 days. You can learn to speak Spanish in 30 days for free somewhere. And I'm sure YouTube is one of those places, but you will also find some courses that might be $99 that, speak Spanish in 30 days. So if you're looking to say, I'm looking to create some real residual or passive income, I want to be able to sell courses that have value. You want your courses to be $499, $997, or in the thousands, depending on what it is that you talk about. And there's also an opportunity for you to train groups, organizations, nonprofits through programs at churches and places like that that'll pay you to come in and do a one-time training that may be 3 or 4 hours and maybe for a whole group of people. There's so many opportunities once you create courses, once you have them and you have them in a platform where people can get to them, they can log in on their own and take the time and look at the course how they want to, what we call DIY it. When you can do that, now you've got people in your community buying from you valuable trainings and courses that you can continue to upgrade and continue to sell, right? So put a 3 in the chat if that makes sense. Let's let in here. All right. So now let's look at transformational course topics. Transformational course topics. Transform your relationship with money. There's all kind of money videos on YouTube, but when you're talking about transform your relationship with money, that's more of a transformative course topic. So you're going to have a better opportunity to sell a class on how to transform your relationship with money than to just be talking about money. Because it's one thing to talk about money. It's one thing to talk about having money. It's one thing to talk about earning money. But to transform your relationship with money, that's a totally different topic. And it's not about the topic being a topic that nobody else is talking about. Because again, when we talk about blue ocean strategy and red ocean strategy, what you have to understand is that we don't want you to be in a place where nobody else is at. Because if there's nobody else selling it, that means there's no demand. Does that make sense? Put a 4 in the chat if that makes sense. So this is about niching down, right? Niching your product down, your service down, your course down, so that it's got a direct target market, because remember, always keep this in your mind. It doesn't matter what you're selling. The more you niche your product or service, the more you can charge for it. Right? So when I talk about the next example, I'll tell you, I'll be able to show you what I mean by that. But transform your relationship with money, that is something that's more niche. It's right. It's got transform in the title. You're transforming that relationship, because a lot of people will have mindset issues. They will have a bad relationship with money because of how they were raised, because they may have had a bad financial situation in their life. They may have gone through a bad divorce and went broke. Right? They may have been fired or laid off or filed bankruptcy in their business, and now they've got a bad relationship with money. They don't know how to fix that. So now, once you have a transform your relationship with money, now you can continue to niche that down. You can say, transform your relationship with money if you've been through a divorce, if you filed bankruptcy, if you've this, if you've that. Now you're niching down that topic even more. And because you're talking to a smaller group of people who knows that this is not the everyday person, you can charge more for it because it's not as much of that out there. Is this all making sense, everybody? Let's look at the next one. We know that weight management is a huge industry, right? Billions of dollars in that industry. So imagine creating a course saying, hey, I'm going to do weight management, help people lose weight. Do you know how many resources there are out there that help people lose weight? There are a ton of resources out there, and a lot are free. I mean, you can literally lose weight without paying anybody anything. You don't need a personal trainer. You don't need to buy anything from anybody online, right? You don't have to buy pills. Those are all options for you, but you don't have to do that. You can literally change your diet, right? Calories in, calories out, or choose one of these different, no carb or whatever, where, you may be paying for some items that you're eating, right? You may pay for an app on your phone that will help you manage what you eat and manage your calories, but you don't have to pay a coach. You don't have to pay a personal trainer. That's an option, but you can do it without that. But what happens if you say, what about postpartum weight management for women over 40? And the reason why I didn't put women in that title is because men don't have babies, right? So if I say postpartum weight management, that is going to be for a woman who had a baby who wants to lose that weight. Now we're talking about we're talking about a transformational, right? More niche down, direct topic when we talk about postpartum weight management, and we're talking about for women over 40, right? And then you can niche that down even more if you chose to. So now, a weight management program you may be able to charge for, right? But you can charge more for postpartum weight management over 40. And guess what else? You can run the numbers yourself. A woman who had a child after the age of 40, I can't even think of the percentage it is so much more likely to be financially stable than a woman who has a child at 25 years old. Why is that important? Because you're marketing to a clientele that has more money. If you look at the numbers, if you pull the numbers yourself and looked at the statistics, a woman bearing a child over the age of 40 typically is in a better financial place than a woman having a child at 25 years old. So now, not only are you charging more because you can, because that audience has more money, but also it's harder to get the weight off at 40 than it is at 25. So you're now marketing something that has more value, more transformation for that person, because it is much easier for a 20. And I'm not even sure if it's easy for a 25-year-old woman to get the weight off after a baby. I don't know, but I definitely know it's easier for a 25-year-old than a 40-year-old. So you got a young lady who has more difficult time getting the weight off, has more money to spend, and you have a course that's specifically for her. Right? Put a 6 in the chat if that makes sense. So niching down is going to be really important when it comes to your course topics, and you understanding, how do I decide what I'm going to market in a course based on what? Your internal validation, what it is that you know how to do, what it is that you know how to talk about. You've got to understand that you have to know how to talk about this. And guess what else with the postpartum weight management? Because it's a big field, knowing from personal experience makes a difference. So if I'm selling a course online that says we can help you lose weight to anybody, right? I'm just selling a course online. We can help you lose weight. We can help you lose weight. That might sell. If I got a great marketing team, that might sell. But what happens when a person comes out and they say, hey, I can help you lose weight, but I used to be 350 pounds and now I'm 175? Because that person has that personal story, because they've been through the weight loss and they've got pictures of themselves, they are now selling their story along with that package, which means that that course for that person is probably going to do better than somebody else that's just in shape that can't prove that they were ever out of shape. And it's not to say that that person doesn't still have credibility, but people love a good story. People love a rags to riches. They love a story where somebody was doing bad and they start doing good. So let me get a hallelujah. Do you know how to spell? I don't know how to spell hallelujah. Put a hallelujah in the chat, right? Amen if you want to put hallelujah. Why is that important? It's important because you're looking for a target market. You're looking to add value. You're looking to add transformation. And what better way to show transformation than I transformed myself? Right? So what can you market that can show that you transformed yourself? What can you market that you can show proof from either you doing this for your client, which we'll get into when I have you do the exercise? How do you prove that you can actually show that person or those persons, right, that it's a transformational effect that's about to happen when they spend their money with you? Last one. Overcome your fear of public speaking, right? The number one fear in the world, public speaking, transformation. I want to be able to public speak and I'm scared every time I do it. If I can take a class that is going to show me how to overcome my fear of public speaking, not teach me how to speak, not show me how to do a TED Talk, not show me how to speak properly, how to have a stage presence, what to wear, how to walk on a stage, tell a story in the beginning, make people laugh, engage with the audience. No. Not all those, but overcome your fear of public speaking. Transformation. You guys follow that? Put a 7 in the chat if you follow that. I'm transforming you out of a fear of public speaking so you can now go to that next step, whatever it is in your life where you may want to do something that includes public speaking and you're not in a position to do it. So you've got to choose something that's transformational versus it being a Googleable course topic that will not sell or sells at a very low price point. And now you have to spend more time creating more numbers. It's much easier if you've got $1,000 course or you're selling a course for $997 and you can manage to sell 10 of those a month. Well, that's 5 figures. That's 5 figures. So you got to ask yourself, how is it easier to get to the number that you have in your head? And I don't know what the number is. It could be $250,000. It could be just 6 figures. You could say, hey, I just want to make $50,000 a year selling courses, right? Whatever that number is, you're going to have to work that backwards and say, this is going to be the price point of my training. Does it have that value? And what kind of income are the clientele that I'm looking for? What kind of income do they have? And am I going to transform them so that they can give me more customers because I did such a good job with them particularly? Is that fair? All right. So we talked a little bit about what we need to have, whether you need to be here. So let's look at a couple of solutions here, right? So we're going to eliminate that fear of I'm going to create a course and it's going to flop. I'm going to create a course and I'm going to have crickets, right? And we've got something called the 4 validation steps. And the 4 validation steps are what we're using as a roadmap, right, to move forward when it comes to doing this. So we want to rescue this idea that you have, right? I've got an idea. I want to create a course, but if you do it wrong, it flops. And we don't want it to flop, right? So we're going to tackle the fear head on today, right? Tackle that fear. Validating your idea before you invest time, energy, and money into it. You've got to put yourself in a position to literally validate the idea before you invest the time in creating a course, invest the energy in creating that course. And don't forget that you're pulling that away from something else. The energy that you're spending in this course is not going towards your family or your 9-to-5 or your other business. The time, you're taking it away from your family or your other business or your job, and then money that you have to invest. Because if you say, hey, look, Coach Dunbar, I'm gonna work with you and have you help me create a course. Well, you're still gonna have other expenses. You're still gonna have to get a platform that's gonna cost you $69 a month so that you can promote the course from, so that people can log in professionally from, so that you can have a landing page or landing pages where people can go in and buy your course. And then there's a thank you landing page behind that. You want to have resource guides that you're able to give away that a person can click on your landing page, opt in, and get an email. You want to have a community that the people who have bought your course can go into and have conversations about what it is that you're training them on, because that's how you build more courses and get more business. You want to be able to do all of that. You want to have a shopping cart. So when people go to buy it, the money can be charged to their card and they can use their Apple Pay or their Google Pay or their debit card or their credit card. And then that money can come back. You want to have coupons. So if you're giving out a discount, you're going to see for my program that I'm marketing at the end of this, I've got where you can get it half off if you do it in 24 hours. Well, you got to have a coupon to do that, right? For a person to be able to scan that to pay for that. And that can all be done through a platform. I use a platform called Kajabi, but we'll talk about that when we get to that. But you have to have a platform. You're going to have to spend some time on social media gathering these clients. So we're going to get into that here, but you need to understand that you're building a client base to sell these to. Because I can show you how to sell a course when you don't even have an audience. You don't have to already be an influencer. You don't have to have a bunch of people that you know that'll buy a course. I'm going to show you how to get the people in place to buy the course. This is why we pre-sale a course. Make sense? Put A in the chat. So the pre-sale method is really important. Pre-sale, 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 really important. And what are you pre-selling? The outline. All you're doing is letting people know what the outline of your course is. This is what the transformation is from A to Z. This is what my course is going to do when you buy it. I've got early bird sales. You can buy the course before it's even out right now. Those are your pre-sales, right? Once you start doing pre-sale, now you've got money coming in to support whatever marketing you want to pay for, the support you paying for the platform, the place you're housing your training. If you're going to have some virtual assistants, do some of the PowerPoint slide deck presentation information. You may have somebody editing your videos. If you're shooting videos for your course, all of that could be paid for because you pre-sold the course. That's why those are very important. So our story, real quickly, we've been assisting clients create courses for over 10 years. Before the pandemic, created course creators. Because when the pandemic hit, there was a coach on every corner. There was a course creator coach on every corner. People who weren't coaching ever in their life were now trying to coach coaches who have been coaching for 20 years. And I understand that it was a pandemic. Everybody was looking for something to do at home. People got laid off. They didn't have the kind of job that they were able to go out and work. So they had to create income, and people get creative. We know that. But you have to have experience when it comes to showing people how to create courses, because showing somebody how to create a course is one thing. Showing somebody how to create a course that's going to sell is a whole nother category. So there's a lot of people showing people how to create courses. They're just not showing them how they can sell that course once they create it, or helping them create a course that will sell because it's good enough that it will sell. Is that making sense to everybody? So Michael Gerber, who I talk about all the time, and some of you guys may have heard me mention him in different trainings. Michael Gerber has a book called The E-Myth. And there's a newer version called The E-Myth Revisited. This is a must read as an entrepreneur. Just like the Profit First book. I always tell people you got to read Profit First, right? If you're going into business, you want to know how you make money, how to save money, how to pay yourself, how to separate your accounts so that you can see money coming in, know where it's going, and know what's staying back so that you can have dividends for yourself with your shares so that you can create a profit, not just grow your company, but create a profit. That's what Profit First talks about. As a business owner, you should know that. Michael Gerber, he is like the godfather when it comes to business. And even Motorbike Mike, which is the author of Profit First, he talks about Michael E. Gerber. He's got interviews on YouTube. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Please make sure you get his book, The E-Myth Revisited. but he talks about entrepreneurial seizures. And during the pandemic, there were a lot of entrepreneurial seizures happening. People were scared because they didn't have any income. They didn't have a job. They didn't have any skill sets, right? They either knew how to do something that wasn't sellable anymore, right? Or they had a degree that nobody was looking for a job. I mean, nobody was offering a job in that degree, or they had a degree that was only relevant when it's not a pandemic. So understand that people were having entrepreneurial seizures. So they were going and they were starting businesses, even though they did not know what they were doing. So when that happens, you have a field full of people who are marketing. And if I see another video on YouTube about, hey, we can get you 300 clients a month, I'm thinking to myself, who's coaching 300 clients a month? Right? Who's buying that package? There's no way in the world I would want to have 300 clients at the same time. New clients? Who wants 300 clients a month? I mean, if you do, you got a place you can do it, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So they're showing you how to make millions of dollars to coach people, but not showing you how to coach people. It doesn't help me to get new clients if I don't know how to be a coach. Yes? So an entrepreneurial seizure can be really dangerous in the entrepreneurial marketplace. So you got to be careful and understand that when you're saying, I want to build a course, I want to sell a course, that you're working with people who actually know how to do it, right? So Michael Gerber says, nobody is interested in the commodity. People buy feelings. And as the world becomes more and more complex and the commodities more varied, the feelings we want become more urgent, less rational, and more unconscious. How your business anticipates those feelings and satisfies them is your product. Guys, you've got to be able to sell transformation. If what you're selling does not change a person's life, they're going to ask for their money back, or they're not going to use the product or the service, and they're going to give you a bad review. It's got to be transformational. So if that makes sense to everybody, put 11 in the chat so I know that you guys are following me and that this all makes sense. I was trying to cut that phone off and it buzzed right before I cut it off. All right, next slide. Oh, back up. So look at a couple testimonials, right? So a game changer for the aspiring course creators, right? So this testimonial says, Coach Dunbar, course creation coaching was a game changer. Step-by-step validation process ensured my course idea was spot on, right? Oh, let me get this camera off here. The step-by-step validation process ensured my course idea was spot on before I invested time and resources. That's what the 4-step validation process does, right? I'm now seeing sales come in weekly, right? Weekly. And Scott, when he says sales coming in weekly, sometimes he's got sales coming in every day, sometimes just a couple times a week. But the important thing is he doesn't have to do the course again. He doesn't have to train the course again. The course is already running. They just buy it and they DIY it. And you can do it that way. You can do it semi-evergreen, or you can train as much online as I do. I love to train. I'm passionate about training. But I do know that if I ever fell ill, if I ever ran into a situation where I could not train because I was really busy and things were hectic, I know that I can go ahead and semi-evergreen and allow people to DIY and still make a ton of money, right? So put a 12 in the chat if that makes sense. So I'm now seeing sales come in weekly. I highly recommend it to anyone serious about developing online courses, right? Put on my next testimonial here. All right. So this is the postpartum weight management client, right? Lacey, I've always wanted to share my expertise, but didn't know where to start. The idea to income coaching program assisted me in narrowing my focus to a more niche training program, because at first Lacey was just going to do postpartum weight management. Her idea was, hey, I had a baby. And when I had the baby, she was 39. And she was like, it was so difficult getting that weight off. So I decided that I'm going to do a postpartum weight management. But she had never tagged it as over 40. She was just doing postpartum weight management. So she was just marketing it that way. I want to market a postpartum weight management course. Can you help me create it? Then we narrowed it down to over 40, which means now it's less marketing that she has to do because she's talking to a specific audience. Now she can go into different groups on Facebook. She can market to people in different areas and know that the people are over 40, right, or around that age, as opposed to saying anybody that has a baby, right? The smaller your niche, the less it costs you to market to those people because it's a smaller group of people. But because it's a smaller group, you can now get a little bit closer to that audience and make sure you're managing your marketing. So the postpartum weight management deal for her was, now let's do postpartum weight management for women over 40, right? Does that make sense? So it really does make sense to really narrow down and really understand exactly where you're going. And this slide here is just basically letting you guys know what I do. For those that don't fully know what I do, we offer coaching services. You see on the left-hand side, that column is nothing but just different things we offer. And that's not even everything that we do in the company, but those are probably the most suggested or most requested, I should say, coaching services that we offer. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, I probably need to update those numbers at this point, but it doesn't matter. Over 150 entrepreneurs using our coaching programs. We have conducted over 200 live training events. Over 30 diverse entrepreneurs developing and creating over 50 online educational courses, and over 250 entrepreneurs in developing and creating their own ebooks as well. So we've helped people in many different facets when it comes to bettering themselves, being coached, working with them along the way. So for those that know, I've been in, I've owned 11 different businesses. I was in 2 different network marketing companies over the last 20 years. I spent 14 years in a company called Legal Shield. Some of you all know me from Legal Shield that are on here now. And it's the same thing. You have to niche down. So put a, I don't know what number I'm on. I'm just going to throw a number out there. Put a 12 in the chat if you know me from training CDLP in Legal Shield, which was a training that I did for the company. And I probably traveled for 4 years every weekend training that in different cities across the US. I'm bringing that topic up because that particular training was created by Legal Shield, the company. They created the training. I altered it a little bit, but about 95% of that training was their creation. I had nothing to do with putting it together. But when I started training it, more people started showing up because of how I was training it. So the training was already there. It was already a niche training because it was for nothing but for people in the company that were selling products to commercial drivers, right? So it was already a niche training. But what I came in there and did was I came in there and made it relevant. And I also came in there and made it transformational. How did I make it transformational? Because I went out and found people in the company who were selling the membership, but not doing it the traditional way of just knocking on the door and saying, as a sales rep, you need this for your company. So I found some of the most productive people in the company and said, what are you doing to sell a membership? Because you're selling more than everybody else. So how come you're selling it more? What are you doing? Well, I have a method on how to make the company want this membership. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you're doing. And when I did that, I had 3 different individuals in the company, none of them living in the state of Florida, train me on how that worked. And then I added that to the training that Legal Shield had, and we filled the room for 4 years all over the place. So some of you all may have been in the training that I did in some particular state where that training was coming around to your city maybe once a year, and I was coming 3 or 4 times a year and still filling the room. Why? Because I interviewed people who were selling the membership, right, in abundance, successfully. What are you doing to sell this membership? Let me add what you're doing to sell this membership to the training so people want to come because they can now transform their income in this company. Is that making sense, everybody? Put a 13 in the chat if that makes sense. So it's all about being able to transform what you're doing so that people can see value at the other end of what you're doing. So section 1, the freedom formula concept, right? We're talking about the freedom formula concept because the idea here is, can I make money selling courses, but but not, I don't need you to be TBD coaching. You don't have to have a coaching company and do this all day like I do. I do this all day because this is what I'm passionate about. You may just want to create a course that you can sell and make $3,000 or $4,000 a month and then still do whatever you do for a living, whether it be your 9-to-5 job, whether you're an author, whether you own a business, whether you just lay around and do nothing. Now, typically, anybody else that's on a training like this isn't the person that lays around and does nothing. But as we get older, sometimes we get those grandkids, we want to spend less time working. If that's the case, then you need a freedom formula, one that actually works, a concept that actually works. So it says validate demand early by getting a prototype course to market quickly, right? How do you benefit from the freedom formula concept? One, you attain real clientele to avoid bad reviews and refund requests, which we call chargebacks. Y'all heard me mention that right in the beginning, right? So you want real clientele. I have bought leads. So again, for those that's been knowing me for years, I've bought leads. I've trained on how to buy leads. So I've been in a space where I'm buying the opportunity to sell to people. I've been in situations where I've been trained to sell high ticket programs to people, and I can get people in front of me with certain lines, certain emails, all of this. And guess what happens when you do that? You don't really have a freedom formula at that point, because if the product does not have the value that it says it does, then you end up getting bad reviews. You can't pick up more sales. You just end up rotating your sales. And you can't lose 10 clients for every 10 you get, because there is no freedom formula there. Can I get a 14 in the chat if that makes sense? So I know that y'all have been sold on this like I've been sold on it several different ways this Sunday. Hey, I've got a way for you to make money in your sleep. Nobody showed me how to make money in my sleep yet. I got to keep waking up and dealing with bad customers. I got to keep waking up and dealing with the complaints. I got to keep waking up and dealing with the refund requests, because the person is not satisfied with the value of the product that I sold them, because it was either sold wrong or it was the wrong product. What I love about course creation is that you can attain real clientele with people who have real issues. If there is a woman that's 43 years old that had a child that is now trying to lose that weight and it's difficult, and she buys a course from a young lady who lost that weight at 40 years old, that knows how to lose that weight and walks her through that progress, right? Shows her how the course works, sells her the course, it works. Now she's got a great review. Now she's got a satisfied customer. She may do that live a couple of times and then package it up. I've done it live enough times that I can give these videos to a video editor. I can now upload these into my course platform, and now I can just sell this as a DIY, and I can just maybe do some consultations as a part of that package, right? So you may say, like, so some of you, I bought the programs from me, and I say, I'll give you three 30-minute consultations with the program, right? 3 30-minute consultations. I promise you, half the people, even if you're on here right now, half the people that I have sold a program to and said you get consultations, y'all haven't used them all. Why? Because you're busy, because you're dealing with stuff, you got life happening. So everybody's not going to use them, but they're there, and you can use them to transform people. So when somebody takes a Gmail course from me, it's not enough to just take the course. The transformation happens how? When you get on a call with me and I now assist you by taking you through the process. So when I did that Gmail class a couple of months back, people bought the course. Wasn't expensive. I think it was $69. Some of y'all paid less than that because y'all was in a group. You took the 3-hour boot camp, and some of you all were like, I got it, but it's in my head, but I haven't figured out how to really make it happen. And you guys set an appointment with me, and what happened? I took you from 1,000, 2,000. Some of y'all, I had somebody that had 117,000 emails that we got her down to under 1,000 emails in 60 minutes on a Zoom. That is transformational. That is what you're looking for. You want your client to be able to say, hey, I bought this course from Dr. A. I bought this course from Dr. N. I bought this course from Jeff. I bought this course from Nancy. I bought this course from whoever, but it was a transformation, because then they will give you other people who need that transformation because they trust you and they know it works. And now you're making sales through other people, even to a point where you can do an affiliate program and say, anybody that sends me a client, I'll give you 20% of that sale. And now you've got people selling for you. And if you're selling a $1,000 course, well, doggone, you're making $800 and you're not even making a sale. And they're DIYing the course. So you're not even working with the person. They're buying it and they're using it online. And if you do say, hey, I'm gonna give you 2 or 3 30-minute consultations, you are literally spending 90 minutes with a person that bought something for you and you made $800 off of it. Come on, let's not be unreasonable here. So the freedom formula concept is about attaining that real clientele, gaining social proof, which is really informational social influence. So you've got to be able to gain social proof through selling this and getting people to buy it. How else? If I am the person, if I am my product, that means that I am the person that's saying, I lost the weight. I gained the muscle. I got through the PTSD, right? In Dr. A's situation, if she's still on, she trains and she talks about grief. She has a book on grief. She got through the grief. So if you're that person, then you now have that social proof, which is why we like to have ebooks and we like to have a social media page where we can talk about, hey, I am that person that's been through that thing. Does that make sense? So develop a sustainable business model. So important. A sustainable business model, because I've been so time and time again, hey, this business model is going to work. You can do this forever. You can do it for a certain amount of time and it'll pay you forever. I've been sold that several times in several different industries. If you're in the insurance industry, they'll tell you residual income, you can sell insurance and then you can retire. Well, except for the fact that other people that sell insurance can go to your client and sell them theirs and then they drop yours. And now you got to charge back. See, they leave that conversation out. It doesn't matter what the product is, what the service is. I promise you, there's always going to be this scenario that says, oh yeah, but if. What I love about this freedom formula concept with course creation is that it's intellectual property. That means what? That means when I create it, it's mine. And that means I can spend a week creating it, a month creating it, 6 months creating it. Once I've created it over those 6 months, guess what? I can sell it as many times as I want. And if it starts to get old, like we know what happened during the pandemic, especially in the field of medical, there's a lot of fields that had to update all their information. They had to change all their information. Why? Because they were in a position where the industry changed. So they had to change what they put out there. The great thing about course creation is if you have a video editor break your 8-hour course, your 10-hour course, your 6-hour course, whatever it is, break it down into videos, then if something changes, you're just changing one video. And then you can add that new video there and get rid of the old video. And now you've updated your course. You updated your intellectual property and you can continue selling it for whatever you sell it for. I was saying $9.97, but you can be selling it for $4.97. You can be selling it for $2.49. You can sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. You can sell it for $69, right? Some of y'all bought things from me for $69. So what you're selling it for, totally up to you. It depends on the value. We discussed that with you. What's the value of your training? What's the going market for? What value does it add to the person that's buying it? That's how we come up with the cost of that training and how much money that you want to make doing this. So developing that sustainable business model, not a one-hit wonder course that you go on, you make 6 figures or you make $50,000 selling this course and then nothing else after that. You don't create another course or that time is gone and now there's no more money to be made. We've seen that in different industries. Sometimes you can sell things that are specific. There's people selling AI classes right now that don't know a doggone thing about AI. And then in the words of Cat Williams, right, there are influencers who aren't influenced nobody to do nothing. But they're being paid as influencers. That time is going to pass. So you don't have a sustainable business model when you know that you're being paid to do something that you're not actually accomplishing. And there's no transformation to the person who paid for your particular course, training, product, service. Is this all making sense to everybody? So you want to make sure that you're developing a business model that's sustainable, right? No one-hit wonders. You want something that's semi-evergreen or fully evergreen that people can go in and buy it as much as they want, and you don't have to keep actively engaging with that particular client when they buy it because it's semi-evergreen. If that makes any sense, right? So back up one. So remember I talked about those 4 validation, right? Those 4 steps. Step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to talk about those 4 steps of validation. And we're about to get into an exercise real quickly. What time I got here? Yeah, 8:05. Yeah, we're gonna get to an exercise. I'm gonna give you guys just about 5 minutes to do something here. And it's going to be for y'all to start into that process of saying, hey, you know what? I'm interested in starting a course and I want to do it the right way, right? So we're gonna do that during the internal validation phase. So there's gotta always be a roadmap, right? There is a roadmap to a profitable course. You just have to take the right steps. You can't just throw your information into a course and think people are going to buy it, because that's not always the case, which I've said several times during this webinar, right? So step 1, internal validation. Step 2, external validation. Step 3, data-based validation. Step 4, human validation, right? Human validation. So let's talk about what those steps are. So step 1 in this internal validation stage, teaching from your unique strengths, right? Something that I've been talking about this entire time. Not copying what somebody else does, not saying, oh, it's trendy to sell an AI training, so let me go copy somebody's AI training and sell that. Internal validation means that you understand it. You have a unique strength in that particular area. You know how to sell this because you've been through it. The best coach and trainer that's selling a coaching and training is one that has gone through the experience that they're selling, right? So when you heard me bring up Dr. A minute ago, I'm not bringing her up just because she's my friend. I'm bringing her up because that's the perfect example of, she has a book talking about grief, but she's been through grief. She's gone through that phase. And I'm not going to say gone through it because I don't know enough about grief to know whether you can even get through it. She's showing you how to manage it, because I don't know whether it's an area where you're through it all together. But she is an expert in grief. So if she's selling grief and she has a book that you can buy on grief, and she has a course on how to get through grief, that internal validation is just a unique strength. It's an experience that she's gone through, and she's going to be able to put her persona, she's going to be able to put herself into that training, which is going to make it stand out. And this is why we call it internal validation. Is that making sense to everybody? So before we go into the next steps, right, we need to talk about this internal validation. So in order to talk about this internal validation, we need to talk about the blue ocean strategy, which is, how does she market, right? How does a person that understands this market themselves? So the blue ocean strategy, right? This is a book. Blue Ocean Strategy is a book, and it's by Chan Kim and Renee. I can't say Renee's last name. I never can, but by W. Chan Kim and Renee. And the book is supposed to be showing up here, but it's not showing up for some reason. And I'm not going to try to figure out what that glitch is, but it doesn't matter. That's the author. That's the book. So you guys see, right? You see that Blue Ocean Strategy. I highly recommend you get this book. Anybody that does that buys into the course creation program that I'm selling, you will get a copy of this book when you buy into it. So once you buy into it, you're gonna get an email that's gonna say we need your address, and then the book is gonna get shipped to you. So if you're planning on buying it when this is all said and done, then don't buy the book, because you're gonna get the book Blue Ocean Strategy. It's definitely a book that you need to have if you're selling anything. This is not about course creation. Blue Ocean Strategy is about how to market yourself, how to market your brand, how to figure out your niche on what it is you're selling and where you stand in that particular marketing space, right? So the expanded edition, how to create uncontested market space and make the competition irrelevant. That's what Blue Ocean Strategy is about. That's what it's about. So we would need to make sure we understand that. So now let's talk about it. Red Ocean Strategy, Blue Ocean Strategy, because this is all about internal validation. So in the Red Ocean Strategy, you're competing in an existing market space. That is me saying, hey, I am going to sell a course on weight loss. That's an existing market space. That's way too big, right? That will be like anybody else saying, hey, I'm going to, right? Remember I showed you the examples for the transformational. I'm going to sell a course on how to speak Spanish in 30 days. That is an existing market space that's so big that I got to sell that course at so low of a cost that I can't really make a lot of money unless I have a big email list or a big following that already is about that particular subject, right? In a Red Ocean Strategy, you have to beat the competition. You got to either undercharge so that you can beat them, or you got to give a lot more with the offer so that you can beat the competition, right? And then you have to exploit the existing demand. That's the only way you survive with a red ocean strategy. But in a blue ocean strategy, you create an uncontested market space. How do you do that? By saying, no, I am going to teach postpartum weight loss for people over 40, because that's an uncontested market space. Now, I'm only dealing with income. It's harder for them to get the weight off. And other people that are selling weight loss products aren't targeting women who had children who are trying to lose the weight after 40. Is this making sense to everybody? Put a 16 in the chat. And don't worry about my numbers being ordered, because I can't remember what order I'm in. But just throw a 16 in the chat. I'm just trying to make sure you woke, right? Make the competition irrelevant. But what is the competition? Well, the competition is weight loss. I'm in a weight loss market. So how do I make somebody else that sells weight loss? If I'm in a weight loss market and I'm saying I'm doing postpartum weight management, well, guess what? What about Weight Watchers? Well, Weight Watchers is in that industry. That's my competition. How do I make Weight Watchers irrelevant? I make Weight Watchers irrelevant by saying, no, Weight Watchers is for anybody trying to lose weight. I am going to show you how to lose weight over 40 when it's weight that you gain from having a baby. You're sending, now your messaging, your emails, your marketing, everything that you're sending is different because you have a different niche. Is this making sense? Same thing like we talked about with the Spanish, right? So if I say I can teach you Spanish in 30 days, well, that's a big market. How do I make the competition irrelevant? How do I create and capture new demand? That's the third one down. How do I do that? Well, I do that by saying, guess what? I'm going to teach Spanish to people that are moving to specific Spanish countries to get a job. So within the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to be moving to Costa Rica. You're going to be moving to Brazil. You're going to be moving to Chile. You're going to be moving somewhere to get a job in a Spanish-speaking country. And you need to learn how to speak that language quickly and effectively based on a job that you're going to get. That's what I'm teaching. So my class is for people who are seeking employment in a Spanish-speaking country. I have now created and captured a new demand. I have now made the competition irrelevant because my general competition is the person that's just teaching Spanish. Is this all making sense to everybody? So this blue ocean strategy versus this red ocean strategy falls right in line with this internal validation, because you are now with the internal validation. What are you doing? You are looking to create what you're going to sell, but you've got to be able to niche it down so that you want competition. Competition is a good thing. You want to have competition, but you want that competition to be, because it creates demand. You want it to be there. There's a market for weight loss, but let me back up a little bit and do weight loss for a particular audience. Speaking Spanish is a big market, but what about people speaking Spanish that's looking to go into another country to speak that Spanish on a regular basis? Not, I need to do it when I'm going to Orlando or I'm going to Miami or because I got a Spanish area in the city that I live in. No, I'm moving to a Spanish-speaking country, so I'm going to need to speak Spanish fluently. And I'm doing this in 90 days. What about that class? That is where your blue ocean strategy is going to come into play. And this is why you need to understand all of these before you say, hey, I'm going to make a decision to teach a course or build a course. I want to understand. So this is why we go internal first. This is why we go internal first. Because if we don't go internal first, then we don't create the kind of product and start working on the kind of product and service that is actually going to sell. So we've got to figure out within ourselves, am I living this, right? Have I been through the grief? Have I been through the weight loss? Have I lived in a Spanish-speaking country and can talk about it fluently? Because I know the experiences and I know what you need to know when you go over there. Whatever you're going through, right? The grief. Have I been through the grief? And is it grief because I lost a loved one? Or is it grief because of somebody's ill and I put them in a nursing home? What kind of grief is it? Because there's different types of grief. So can you specialize in a particular part of grief, right? When you say PTSD, PTSD isn't just I went to the military and got PTSD. People have PTSD from all types of different things. So if you're saying I'm going to do a course on PTSD, PTSD from what? Domestic violence? From watching somebody die in front of you? What's the PTSD from? Do a training, a course on PTSD, but niche it down. We've got to go internal first. So hopefully that helps everybody and that makes sense to everybody. So now, here's the exercise, because I want to get this exercise in before we close out and I talk about the program. So we're going to spend about 5 minutes on this. That's it. Where I'm going to stop talking and let you guys do this on paper in your own space. But I want you guys to just answer one or two of these questions. So I'm going to give you about 60 seconds first to write one or two of these questions down, right? Write one or two of these questions down that you want to answer. And then I want you to write an answer down. You see the questions: a challenge or hurdle you have overcome, how you have transformed a part of your business, how you have transformed a part of yourself or your life. And what's the difference between those two? Because a transformation in yourself may be you dealing with something that triggers you. A transformation in your life may be you went through a divorce, right? You had a child. That's a transformation in your life, right? So your life versus you. If you have made a transformation, have you done the same for somebody else? What do people most often ask you for help with? What mistakes or frustrations you wish you could prevent others from experiencing?
Coach Dunbar, are the questions posted?
You should see them on the screen. Y'all don't see my screen?
I do not.
Does everybody else not see my screen? What do y'all see right now?
See you.
Somebody else speak up. Let me know what y'all seeing.
I see you and the questions. I see both.
Okay.
I see both.
Okay, all right. I want to make sure, because I'm sitting here thinking if I've been talking for an hour and y'all ain't been able to see the screen, I have just done a horrible job. Now, the person that can't see the screen, I'm not sure why you can't see the screen. I don't know what that's about on your end, why you're not seeing the screen. But you should be seeing a black screen, and it should say "Turn your knowledge into profits" with a TBD coaching logo. It should be a picture of like a kind of a scientific looking young lady with a skeleton around her head, blah, 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 blah. And then some questions that say
Operator error.
Operator error. Okay, there we go. Internal validation prompts. So here, those are some questions. And I want you guys to just take two. Now, don't worry about taking a picture of the screen, writing all of this down. These important screens like this, the internal validation prompts, the 4 steps, those are all slides that I'm going to send you guys after the training is over anyway. Not because you bought anything from me. You don't have to buy the program. First of all, I'm only looking for 10 people anyway, because I can't do more than, because I'm not doing a class, just so you guys know. So at the end of this, when I talk about the program is not another class I'm doing that you're going to be sitting in. It's going to be 10 weeks of meeting with me to get your course done and get it set up where you've got your marketing and all of those different things. So I can only take on 10 people at a time, because I have to now add 90 minutes a week to my schedule for 10 different people. Plus I have homework I have to do in between the sessions for you. Like you will have homework to do in between the sessions to make sure, because the 90-minute sessions aren't enough. You have things you're going to have to do in between those sessions, like answer questions like this, like interview people who are going to be buying your product. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Those are all going to be things that you're going to have to do in between. So these are going to be 10 individual sessions that you're doing with me on Zoom alone on that package that I'm going to be talking about. But whether you get that or not, doesn't matter. The slides that we're going through here, some of them are irrelevant, but some of them are relevant. The ones that are relevant, I'm going to send to you so you'll have these. So those are some questions. There's a couple more on the other sheet if you want to choose between those. Who are your favorite clients? If you have clients, you may have a business where you have clients already. Who are your favorite clients? And what are your favorite clients' results? You can use that if you have clients already. And then the last one is methods and or strategies that you repeat often. And these are clues to your curriculum. So if you don't know what I'm doing here, I'm helping you create through these validation prompts internally, so you know this is the kind of course I can teach. Because I've been through, or I've helped somebody go through. I know how to talk about this particular thing. So I'm gonna go back to the other page. So there's, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. And I'm gonna give you guys a minute to get this done. So it is 8:20. You guys have until 8:25 and then I'm going to come back. But it's just giving you guys a chance to write these down so you can kind of get that thought process going here. So I'm gonna stop my screen share and I will pop it back up when we get back into this after 5 minutes. So at 8:25 Eastern time, because you may be in a different zip code, 8:25 Eastern time, we will be moving into the last couple of slides here, just to make sure that you guys understand the other 3 steps in the validation process here. So I'm gonna cut my camera off too here. Got about a minute and a half left, guys. All right, you have 30 more seconds. I'm going to roll. All right, so let's get one brave person that's willing to give us one answer that they wrote down from this exercise. One with just one person.
I'll volunteer.
Go ahead. BG Howard, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Let's see what you got.
Let me get to the question. Where did my questions go? Okay, here we go. One challenge or hurdle I have overcome. You're aware of my story, Coach Dunbar, but I had an accident in 2001, and it was a very, very traumatic accident. I spent 7 years in a coma. Underwent 10 years of rehabilitation, physical therapy, and I am in a perpetual state of recovery for the rest of my life. That has to have been, short of the death of my mother and my father, that has been the most challenging, or continues to be the most challenging thing I've ever had to do with.
Yes, absolutely. And in your scenario, and there's a lot. When I say there's a lot, there is a lot of courses that you can create based on that scenario, even though I know the course you're creating right now isn't even on that. Like, you're literally creating a course as an author, but that scenario that you have, you could literally create a course on your scenario because you've been through so much, you fought through so much, and even in the process of all of that, like, there's people who have gone through the same thing, and yeah, they're talking to their doctors. They're having conversations with people, but the conversation that they're having with people aren't going to be the same as if they was having this conversation with somebody who had actually been through the same thing. So in your scenario, that will be a good start when it came to creating a course to say, hey, I'm going to create a course based on what I've been through. And this is what that exercise is supposed to do. It's supposed to give you something to talk about that's going to say, I understand, I've been through this. This has been my transformation. So appreciate you being transparent on that and letting us kind of hear a little bit about your particular story. Good stuff. All right, so I'm going to open my screen up real quick. And I guess I can cut my camera back on, right? All right, guys. So we should be finished in 10 minutes. Actually, we should be finished in less than 10 minutes. So these were the other set of questions here. And I'm going to move to the next sheet, which is going to be pulling back up our other, because the most important one is this. This is the most important one, which is the 4 steps, looking at those, because that's what I really want you guys to get. So the external validation, right? So on the external validation, we've got dig deep and ask yourself some very internal questions about challenges that you face and transformations that you have made. So your unique strengths are, what are my strengths, right? Don't copy somebody else's programming, right? And using your blue ocean marketing strategy to basically say, hey, this is how I can market this and this is how I can niche it down, right? Now the external validation is dig deep and ask yourself some very internal questions about challenges that you face and transformations that you've had, right? And then we move into data-based validation, which is more of a mindset shift, right? Grasp the idea of competition is a good sign. It proves that there is demand for your topic. Oh, hold on one second. Let me see. I think I adjusted that slide. Yeah, I did. So under database validation, I changed that slide. So the numbers support your idea, but do not let them discourage you initially. Use the data to confirm your demand. So when I'm talking about database validation, now we're talking about doing your research. This is all about research. This is about me taking you through a process of saying, okay, let's go do some research. Let's find out on this topic. So let's take a topic. Let's take the postpartum weight loss, weight management topic. So now we got to do some research. How do we do that? Okay, I want to do postpartum weight management for women over 40. So now where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to pull that topic up. I'm going to see how many authors have books on that topic. I'm going to look at the reviews on the books in that field to see what are people saying. Are they saying, oh, this was a good book, but, right? This was a good book, this was a good book, that, right? So hold on one second, because I don't think I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. All right, so y'all should see what I'm seeing now. So now you look at me, you should be back looking at the 4 steps, course validation, and I'm on database validation. So now I'm saying, let me go to YouTube and see how many videos. So I may go to YouTube and say postpartum weight management for women over 40. How many videos are there? Are they videos that were done 3 months ago, 4 months ago? Are they videos that were done, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? I'm going to look at those videos. Who's the expert? When I put in postpartum weight management for women over 40, who pulls up? Does somebody have a website talking about that? Now I'm doing my data research to find out, is this a valid topic? Because it needs to be some demand there, because you can create a topic and there's no demand. Nobody wants to know. If you go to YouTube and pull up and put in a topic, and the last time a video was created was 7 years ago, it's probably not something that people are talking about anymore. Does that make sense? So now you're doing all of this database validation just to make sure. So you're checking for books, you're checking for the experts, you're checking for YouTube videos, you're checking for experts in that place. Go to Facebook. See if anybody has a page, a community talking about weight loss management, postpartum for women over 40 years old. If they have a group, get in that group. If you're a man doing that book, which you probably won't be, then you probably won't be able to get in that group. You're a woman, they're going to let you in that group. And now you're seeing the conversations that people are having. So no matter what your topic is, you're going to do this data-based validation to validate that there is something out there. So remember, when we talk about competition, we want it to be some competition, because if there's no competition, I mean, there's no demand. But once you say, okay, I've got my internal validation, I know what it is I want to talk about, I know how I can market this, right? Now let me see what challenges and transformations I can tie to this. Now let me check and see whether somebody else is talking about this in the space that I'm in. Because I know it's weight management videos on YouTube, but are there postpartum weight management videos for women over 40? And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking on Instagram. We're looking on social media sites. We're looking at Amazon. We're looking at books. We're going to Audible and checking. We're checking online in general. Is somebody with a website that's talking about it? Are there communities on social media talking about it? I want to know how popular this topic is so I can know whether or not I'm still too wide on my topic, whether I niche it down more or whether I'm saying, no, this is a sweet spot. Plus, what else are you looking for when it comes to database validation? You're also looking for what you can charge in that field. What kind of weight does this hold? What can I charge people in this particular area to talk about this? What kind of information is out there? What kind of packages are people selling? So you know how you can price it, because you may have a price point in your head, but if it's over what people are charging for, you're going to have a hard time getting rid of it. So put a 16 in the chat if that makes sense. The last step to course validation is human validation. And to me, human validation is the most important, because that is how you hyper target your audience. This is the interviews, right? These are when you're doing interviews. This is some of the work that's, if you were in sales and say, hey man, you got to knock on doors. You now have to validate with other humans that are potential clients. It says talk to potential clients to uncover their struggles and desires. Build a hyper-targeted audience. So how do we help with that when you're working with us? What we do is we show you where to get that audience from. Sometimes it's going to be people that you already know. You may just know some women that are over 40 who still have weight on from when they had a baby that's trying to get rid of it. You would interview that person. Hey, if there was a book you could read, if there was a class you could buy, would you buy it? What would you be looking for that class to have in it? Now you're interviewing your potential clients. So now you have somebody to sell this to. Where else are you doing it at? You're doing it on social media. You're going into social media. I do it all the time. I go to social media. I join groups. I get in those groups. And when I'm going through, I'm looking for people that are having issues about things that I sell. Oh, I'm trying to form an LLC and I'm having an issue. Somebody told me I need to go from an LLC to an S Corp and I don't know how to do that. I'm trying to open up a business bank account and they told me I need the EIN number first. I'm looking for things that I do, services that I offer from my company. So whether it's a course that I'm going to sell or whether it's coaching services that I'm going to sell, when I go scroll through that group and I see people talking about things, problems that I solve, I communicate. Oh, typically doing S Corp, these are some things that you need to do. If you would like to talk to me, I'm not going to charge you. You can just do a 15, 20 minute consultation with me. I do a 15, 20 minute consultation with Tony. And now I say, Tony, let me ask you a question. Can I kind of interview you? Because you were asking some questions that a lot of people ask. And I've got some products that I'm creating that can solve that problem. And I want to know exactly how those products need to be catering to the audience that needs them. And it sounds to me like this is something that you need. So can I interview you? Then you set up an interview with that person, whether it's in person or Zoom, and you ask the questions. We help you develop the questions that you ask. What questions do you ask this person to develop your services, your course that you're going to be selling to that person? So if we went back to the postpartum weight management, I am now finding women, right? I may just go on my page, not me as a guy, because that's going to be weird, but for a woman, that's not going to be weird. And you went on your page and you say, hey guys, if y'all can respond to me, it'll be really cool. If there's any women that are friends with me that are on my page or in this group that had a baby and you still feel like you're a little overweight from having a baby, but you're over 40, I would like to have a couple of conversations with you in that situation. Let me know whether you're open. Some of y'all may have seen people doing that in groups that you're in. And people may have asked to interview you and you didn't even know why. That's what they're doing. They are getting human validation so that they can create a course for the client that they're looking to sell it to. And this is how you create your own prospective conversions by doing that. That is the footwork that you're going to have to do. But you have to have the specific questions and you have to know where you're going to ask people at. I've got an email list that I can ask people. I can go to social media and ask people right inside of these groups that I'm a part of. But whatever you're going to market, you want to find out from the customer what they need. That is going to be your human validation. So you're going to start with the internal validation, which is, hey, teaching from my unique strength and my experience. I've been through grief, so I can talk about it. I've dealt with a child that had grief, so I can talk about it. Or I'm good. I have a unique strength in this particular area that I'm training on, right? I went to school and I have an education on this, so I can talk about it. So I have a unique strength. I'm not going to copy somebody else's business model. I'm going to create. Then you're going to do external validation, which is you're going to dig deep and ask yourself some very internal questions about challenges you may have faced and transformations that you have created for other people. Right? How have I helped this person transform into this kind of person? Let me talk to them and ask them how that experience was. Can I get a testimonial from you? You're getting that external validation. Then you're going to get your database validation because the numbers need to support the idea for the course that you're going to sell. And then you need to start interviewing people and getting human validation. So now you're pre-selling this course. And now you can say, hey, I sold 10 of my courses. They were $497 a piece. And I made $5,000 selling 10 classes. And again, the what's the term I'm looking for? I have it here somewhere, but I'm not going to try to find it because I don't have time. But when you're doing the when the people are DIYing the course, now, yeah, you sold 10 courses, but the 10 courses you sold, you're not teaching those courses. So I always teach the course a couple of times first so I can get the videos because I'm doing it on Zoom. And then my editing guy creates it, turns it into a course I can sell off the shelf. And that's what you're doing. You're creating your material by doing the course live and you're still charging then, but then you sell it off the shelf. And after you've created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses, now you've got these courses selling because you have a market. You have an email list, right? You're getting on people's podcasts talking about your classes that you sell. And now you're creating that real freedom formula because people are buying something off the shelf. And that's pretty much how that all makes sense. So hopefully you guys got something out of that process that I went through here. It is 8:42. So I'm gonna skip to my screen here for the program that we're doing. And anybody wants to stick around and ask any particular questions, they can. So the program is $497. I am doing a early bird enrollment for 24 hours. So that means until tomorrow 9 p.m., you can get it for $249. How do you get the program? By scanning the scan code. So if you say, hey, I want to go ahead and do it, the early bird enrollment in the next 24 hours, you just scan that and you pay for it. And when you pay for it, you're going to get a couple of emails and then you're going to get some links so you can start scheduling your appointments for us to get through the process. The process is basically about 8 to 10 weeks. So your course will be done in 8 to 10 weeks for you to start selling. We help you throughout the whole process of setting it up, coming up with the interview questions, every part of what we just talked about. Plus, there's a lot more, obviously, we didn't talk about because it's a 90-minute training, but there's a lot more in that process that we go through with you to make sure that you understand it. And that's what the sessions are for at 90 minutes a week. So, but you'll get all that information once you pay. And if you're saying, hey, look, I'm not going to do the early bird enrollment, then basically the early bird enrollment is 50% off. So this course I normally sell for $799, and there's people that may be on here. I'm not sure whether there's anybody on here that paid that, but there's people that are in my group of people who buy things from me that have paid $799 for my course creation, but it wasn't called Ideas to Income. It was called Passion to Platform to Profit. So that's it's the same concept, but it was just a different name, and we did a couple of things differently in that program, but. This program we're doing is $497, $249 if you do it within the next 24 hours, so that you can start working on the program. We also are going to need to talk about once you start rolling, getting your platform set up, and we help you with the platform, which is Kajabi. That's the platform I've been using for over 7 years. So we show you how to use that, so you're not going to be stuck somewhere trying to use a platform that you don't know how to use. There's trainings for Kajabi, plus me and my team know how to use Kajabi because they do my Kajabi for me in that same process as well. So that's pretty much what that's at. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna leave this up here for a second. If anybody has any questions about anything, go ahead and unmute yourself, ask your questions while we're here. I'm gonna leave the scan code up though for a minute just in case somebody needs a scan. And it should take you to a checkout when you scan it, if you're wondering where it's gonna take you. And on that checkout, it lets you know what you're getting. So if you're looking at the checkout and you scroll down, you'll see what the program has in it. So anytime you're getting anything from me where you're paying, there's also the information on what's in the course so that you understand exactly what you're getting. Plus, obviously, you're going to have conversations with me. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and unmute and ask whatever questions you may have.
Hello, Mr. Dunbar. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
All right, this is Amos, man. Listen, how do I turn a passion that I hadn't structured into a business? And the passion is pretty much abstract. I have a passion for promoting tolerance among people. I mean, I have a peeve for talking about how unjust we are towards each other based on nothing at all, based on propaganda, based on not knowing somebody, choosing one side against another side, and not putting humanity first. Matter of fact, that phrase humanity first is something that I want to start a podcast on. And I'm looking at all kinds of topics on the internet about humanity first, far more advanced than what anything that I've ever thought of. So I'm saying, like, how can I turn a passion? I don't have a particular product, even though I've been in the same program you came from, and I'm still in that. I don't have a particular product, but I have a passion for bringing people together. And I want to highlight people that I know or that I've heard of in the society who are doing great things that are helpful, using their platforms, using their experience, using their energies to help, regardless of who they're helping. How can I turn a passion into a business?
So in that scenario, you don't need a product. You could have products like merch and stuff, but we don't even need to have that conversation. Let's just talk about the passion for doing that. That is more of a community service type deal. So where I would go in that direction would be creating a course about humanity first, creating a class about what that means. Then I would reach out in the city that I live in. And you can turn this bigger than that if you want to, but I would start at the city because again, you want to start small and then go big, right? I would start at the city level and I would look for who has programs for people that they're trying to teach that kind of information, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's the government funding certain programs that does that. So there's going to be several nonprofits in your city that teach certain things. Humanity is something that they're going to want. That's a topic that they're going to want covered, especially when you start talking about being in areas that are considered to be poverty areas or high risk areas. They need to understand all of those types of topics, right? So when you create those classes, then you're going to reach out to the city and say, hey, look, what do I need to do to teach these classes to different organizations? And you have to set a price on what you're going to charge for it because they get funded. Those organizations get funded through the state that you live in, through big nonprofits who want that message to be taught. You just need to find out where in your city that message is being taught, right? So giving you an example, in my company, I teach professional, and I don't know if you heard this earlier, personal professional development, right? So I've now gotten a few contracts in the city that I live in Jacksonville, where I'm teaching that class through nonprofits who are helping people who either got out of prison, who need to, or their parents are in programs because they're individuals who don't have an education, don't have a lot to offer. They're trying to get themselves together, but they got teenage kids who are struggling and they need to be in those programs, and nonprofits pay. And then those companies people give to nonprofits, and these nonprofits want you to come in and teach those particular classes. So during just this past summer, I had two summer camps that had me come in and teach AI to the youth in those summer camps, and they paid me to do it. But those summer camps were funded by different grants, and they put in for their grants. They get the kids there, and they wanted to teach the kids AI, so they had me come in and teach it because that's something that I teach. So now we're in talks about next year, me teaching them more on how to start their own business, because young people are starting to get more into having YouTube channels and things like that. So sometimes it's a community-based situation where I'm not saying you can't sell that online to general people, but I will look more, because that to me is more of a community-based outreach type program.
Okay.
And that's where I would look at doing it in your neighborhoods, because these individual nonprofits, they get funded and they're looking for programs to teach and people to teach them, and then they pay you to do it. So that's where I would go first. And then once you've done it in a city that you're in, then you can do it in other cities, because you've done it. So if you want to go to other cities and do it, you can, or you can train other people and you can have it under your brand and just have that program run in another city. And you may pay somebody else to teach a curriculum that you created, and you're paying them a certain amount of money to teach it, but the contract is for more than that, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I would go in that space.
Yeah. And not the whole try to be brief. My initial idea to share the idea that I had was to try to create a podcast where I would interview people, have people call in, have some kind of interaction with people talking about the importance of this topic, how it affects the society, and how we can contribute towards unraveling and bridging the gap, right? Without even, first of all, having an idea about monetization. I understand, like in podcasts, monetization can come through ads if you get big enough audience, get a lot of people following you, and then people they notice that, and then they want to share that space. But that was my thing. First, the idea was to talk about it in a podcast platform, and then let it grow from me talking about it, having people interact, to inviting guests to interviews, to having people call in and all these type of things. But I see your point as well. and I don't know any of it. I've never done a podcast. I bought a Mac. I've been trying to do videos because I bought a Mac and started just trying to create videos. But that's what I want to do, and yeah, I got so much to learn. I don't know what it's called.
What a podcast will be in addition to anyway. So, like, if you were meeting with me with something like that, I would tell you to have a podcast anyway. I mean, that's not even a podcast or something like that. You're going to have a podcast running at the same time because that is going to be your social proof. That is where that's going to be you need to have a place to operate from, meaning you have to have a platform that you're talking to people from, because now that's how people know that's what you do. So you would do that would be there anyway. You would be doing the podcast while you were creating the curriculum for the course. You would already be doing that. You were talking about the class on the podcast, talking about this. You're gonna be doing that and then letting people know, hey, if you gotta if this is a need in your city, reach out to me, let me know, and we'll see about getting our program to your city. So having a podcast, I will be doing that regardless, because you're going to need it to support that curriculum in what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, and get the message out. Right.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, you got it. You got it, Amy. Anybody else? Any questions about anything?
I had a question. If maybe you already answered it, but I'm currently enrolled in one of the coaching programs with you, and excuse me. From that program, I'm working on the author writing program. I'm creating that. Just as an FYI for those who are here, I write better than I talk.
Come on, man.
He certainly does write better than he talks.
For real.
You got something to say. I know that.
The stutter is one of the consequences of the extra there. But I've been writing for a number of years. FYI, Coach Dunbar, I just got notified that the latest novel was received a nomination for best fiction. So that's another
good stuff.
Another feather in my cap. Anyway, but that's on a different note. But what I wanted to know, the information that you're teaching in this, I guess this is the predecessor. But will the information that's included here, like you got the package here, but is that going to be included in the course that I'm taking currently?
Oh yeah. The course that you in, you're going to get all of this, because you're in the original course, which is the passion, the platform, and the profit. So you're in that. So you would still, you're going to still get all of the same assistance like we've been, right now, you're doing the resource guides, and then we're going to go into the platform and all that. So no, you wouldn't need to get this because you're already enrolled in a coaching program now with me. That is a similar program. So you definitely wouldn't need to do this. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Any questions? Going once, going twice. All right, good stuff, guys. Let's screen quick. Yeah. Somebody trying to say something?
No, I thought I had missed something. I thought you had said something and I missed it.
Oh, no, I'm good. So look, guys, I appreciate you guys all being on. If anybody has any questions about anything, you need to reach out to me individually. Just text me or call me, let me know. And I can answer whatever question that you may have. This early bird enrollment will shut down at about 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And it's only going to be $497 available at that time. Or if I get 10 enrollments, then I'm going to stop the whole situation. Because again, I can't do more than 10 people because I already got several coaching clients currently anyway, just under different coaching programs. So I can't add more than 10 more people to my roster at this point. So I'm only going to accept 10. But hopefully, if you're not going to do this, you've gotten enough out of this hour and 45 minutes, however long it's been, where you can at least move in the direction of understanding this is what I need to do to start doing a course so that I can have that freedom that I'm looking for. because it's really about being able to retire and whatever retirement is for you, and to be able to say, hey, I've got courses being bought that I created when I was actively working my tail off, right? I created those and now they're on the shelf and people can buy them semi-evergreen, and you want to be in a position to be able to do that. So hopefully I've been able to help you guys all do that on here tonight. So you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening. Reach out to me if you need to. And some of you guys I know I'll see next week. I'm doing a payroll training on how to save money on taxes by being an S Corp. You can save a significant amount in your annual taxes for your company by being an S Corp as opposed to an LLC, and paying yourself a reasonable salary, which most of us aren't doing anyway. You should be, because you're running your company. But I'm not going to be doing that training alone. Actually, ADP is going to be on there. ADP is going to do most of the training, actually. I'm only going to train for about 20 minutes. ADP is going to train for half an hour. So it's going to be an hour-long training, but most of it is going to be ADP, talking about how to get yourself set up on payroll, what it means to set yourself up on payroll, and how even as a solopreneur, a person that's it's just you and you're just paying yourself, you can still save on taxes by paying yourself a reasonable salary and using payroll to do so. So we're going to be doing that next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. from 7 to 8. So I've got a couple of emails out there. Some more emails will be going out, and that's a free training. It's not nothing that you have to pay for. It's so just, get on, if you want to get on it, go to the email, click on it, register for it, and then you'll be getting a couple of emails letting you know what to prepare for that. So, all right, guys. Look forward to seeing some of y'all next week, or anybody I have to meet with between now and then. I'll meet with you guys in between time. And you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. See you all soon.
All right, thanks.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you.
All right.